Hello and welcome to Raw's Daily Drive. Nice little vlog thing there that I'm going to be doing. This is episode 2, and today, or as I touched on D&D on my last vlog, today I'm going to be talking about a video game series, and that video game series would be none other than Fallout. War never changes. As often voiced by Ron Perlman, Fallout is a video game series that takes place in the post-apocalyptic future. After basically what amounts to nuclear Armageddon has occurred, war has broken out all over the world, nukes have flown, and society, as we know it, is pretty much just obliterated. The core factor around Fallout is the vaults. Vaults are basically, if you're not familiar with Fallout, and a lot of us are, but some of us aren't, vaults are basically giant underground fallout shelters. Bunkers specifically designed, for the most part, to house populations or a portion of the populations and give society a chance to rebuild once the fallout is cleared. That's the theory. In reality, it's actually, there's a lot more in depth. Let's just say that. So, Fallout kind of stands out from a lot of different other post-apocalyptic games. There are things that resemble zombies, yes. They're called ghouls. They're basically human beings who have soaked up just a little bit too much radiation, and they have kind of turned... They look rotten. They're not necessarily rotten, but they kind of look that way. Most of their hair falls out, their skin takes on a very decayed look, and in some cases, if it's bad enough, they actually do lose their human intelligence. And they become basically what's called a feral. Ghouls that basically hunt on instinct and behave not unlike zombies. Although the core difference there is that these zombies are technically still alive. Radiation actually heals them. And that is just one of the many, many things that you can find to deal with in Fallout. I'm getting ahead of myself. Fallout is a post-apocalyptic game. It is set in a retro-futuristic style. Basically, if you can imagine, instead of microcircuitry taking off, kind of the technology level from the 50s, and the aesthetic of the 50s in some way. Cars with giant fins, futuristic looking designs. It's all over the place. Everything from the architecture, the buildings, the designs, the cars, to the look of the technology in game. And then you lie a post-apocalyptic thing over that. Most of the games are set somewhere between 100 to 200 years after all of the bombs fall. Sorry, my camera keeps slipping on mount. And it's definitely a fascinating game. The original Fallout was actually a DOS-based game, and it was very much a role-playing game at its core. You had turns, and when you got into combat, you had options to choose as far as dialogue, and a lot of that has stayed the same. The turn-based combat thing has pretty much fallen out of favor when they went to an open sandbox style game in Fallout 3. At that point when Bethesda took over for it. pretty much roam the wastelands. Just go wherever you wanted to go. And there was elements of that in Fallout 1 and 2. But it was a lot more limited in how much you could really explore. The fact that you couldn't, get down into first-person view. It was pretty much a locked isometric view. So you really had to literally poke in to every little corner to find things that may have been hidden. Usually the gameplay kind of revolves around some form of main quest storyline, like with any RPG. Fallout 1, your vault's water chip is failing, and your vault's going to run out of water. So they send you out into the wastes to find a replacement water chip. And you have a set amount of time to do that. And there are things that you do that can affect how much time you have. If you choose one particular option, sure, you get water to your vault sooner, but it cuts your time down. Or if you take another option, it can extend the amount of time you have to get a water chip. Fallout 2, I'm a little sketchy on the details. We're just going to skip over Fallout 2. Wikipedia is totally a thing. Or the Fallout Wikipedia is even more a thing. I totally recommend going and check that out. I'll put a link down in the description below. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was the first big open sandbox game, and it was a lot of fun for me. It was a lot of people's first introduction into the Fallout series as a whole. And if that's the case, I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, be like, oh, you didn't play Fallout from the beginning. No, because not every gameplay style is suitable for everybody. I've tried to play Fallout 1 and 2. Having started at Fallout 3 and tried to go backwards, I had a hard time with it. It wasn't necessarily to my taste. Researching through what the storyline was, though, I can still appreciate it on that level. If you can go through it, and it's a hard game. And if you can go through it, I say go for it. Give it a try. You can check out GOG.com. I think they have it. I'm not sure where else has it. I'll put a link to GOG also down there. There's also other games in the Fallout series that are somewhat canonical, somewhat not. Sorry. There's Fallout Tactics. There's Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Some of these are, I don't know. Personally, for me, I look at the Fallout series as Fallout 1, 2, 3, 4, New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, and the soon-to-be upcoming Fallout 76, which is going to be, interestingly enough, set before Fallout 1. First time we're ever going to have a multiplayer Fallout. Some people are going to say this or that about Fallout 76 and the concept. Personally, my viewpoint is I want to try it. I wanted to play Fallout multiplayer for a long time, and this is going to give me that opportunity to do so. If it's good, it will be good, and it will stand on its own. And all the naysayers are going to just have to say, okay, either we don't like it still, or hey, we were wrong. It's not going to be for everybody. And that's fine. It's just like I have said before, not every game is going to settle well with everybody else. We all have our games that we like. There are people who like Call of Duty and Modern Warfare and those types of games. Not my thing. I like first-person shooters. I really do. Give me something like classic Duke Nukem 3D, Half-Life 1 and 2, some Team Fortress Classic occasionally. The Hunted map is my favorite. But back to Fallout. Fallout for me has kind of this feeling that you want to jump into this universe. And it's a screwed up universe. There are parts of history, obviously, that depart from what we know. But at the same time, there are also parts of history that completely line up with what we know about. History starts to depart. Yes, we feuded with Russia, but in the end it ends up being China that becomes kind of the big oppositional force, if you will. Instead of, continuing as much with fossil fuels, they turn to nuclear power. And technology takes some weird jumps here and there. Like a lot of the technology, like computers and whatnot, you'll see in-game, are still using the old vacuum Nixie tubes and whatnot. And that's pretty cool. It gives the game a very interesting aesthetic. And for me, I really enjoy that because I kind of grew up seeing little bits and pieces here and there of that old technology of, vacuum tube powered radios and that sort of thing. And for me, that's a big draw. I enjoy that myself. It's not for everybody. It's like Skyrim. Swords and sorcery and high fantasy and all that. Elves. It's not for everybody. But certainly for me, I think it's a good fit because I enjoy the exploration aspect of it. I like kind of walking around the wasteland, putting my nose into every little hidden corner. Occasionally having to avoid tripping a booby trap that somebody else has set that might either drop a handful of grenades on my head or blow up a landmine beneath my feet or shoot a shotgun shell into my face. You have to deal with raiders, you have to deal with the ghouls, the feral ghouls. You have to deal with super mutants, big, 9-foot-tall green guys that are interested in very little other than just smashing you to a pulp and then probably eating you after you're dead. And there's other critters. There's, giant mole rats. There's giant insects. There's a thing called a mirrorlurk that's somewhere between a horseshoe crab and a human. It's nasty. And as the games progress, there's all sorts of stuff. And that's not even to count the robots. And oh yeah, there's robots. We've got Protectorons, which kind of invoke an old Robbie the Robot feel, complete with somewhere between a Robbie the Robot voice and a Dalek voice from Doctor Who. Very just classic robotic sounding. You've got little floating circles, little spheres basically, that float around and broadcast messages or play music. And if you bug them, they start shooting you. They don't have to be a threat, but they can be. And again, all of these designs, all of these aesthetics within the game pull from that retro futuristic look. Kind of if you go back to the 50s art styles of what they thought the future would be at the time, that's what you're going to see a lot of in Fallout. And I suppose it's polarizing. Some people don't particularly care for that aesthetic. And if that's the case, the game may not be for you. Or the games. And I don't know. For me, I'd say give it a try. The combat system in the open world games can either be real-time combat, run and gun, throw a grenade, drop a landmine and hope that the guy behind you chasing after you trips it and blows up. You can go survive, because it wouldn't be much of a game otherwise. And basically, it's kind of your quest to go find out who shot you in the head and why, and everywhere that leads you. Fallout 4 is a little different. Yes, you're still looking for someone. Fallout 4, from the get-go, basically gives you the ability to choose between one half of a married couple. Pre-war. I don't want to spoil too much, but basically you start out before the bombs drop. They will drop. I'm going to tell you that much. And you basically get to your vault. And you, your spouse, and your young son, Sean, make it safely into the vault. And then the future happens. And I'm not going to go into too many details if you haven't ever played the game. If you've played the game, you know exactly what happens and how that all tends to play out in some fashion or another. And Fallout 4 is, I do believe, larger than Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. I could be mistaken on that. I'll have to double check later. And Fallout 4, I want to say, takes place, I want to say maybe 10 years after Fallout 3. And it's... They basically included, with Fallout 4, what they started with in Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls 5. And that's building homes. Or in the case of Fallout 4, entire settlements, multiple buildings, all in one section. And you can have multiple settlements that you can build up. You can recruit settlers to come in and farm or defend it. And you can build all sorts of defenses. You can build everything from traps to turrets that, shoot machine gun bullets, laser beams, etc. Or you can just put up a little guard post and arm somebody with a shotgun and say, okay, stand watch here. It counts. You have to collect water, you have to collect food. And the game gives you the ability to do this by scrapping everything that you can find. If you find like a desk fan, you can basically scrap it for parts, for resources. And, this gives you the ability to build these other devices, or things. Like, you have to find concrete blocks or bags of concrete in order to be able to make a concrete structure. If you clear off old trees, you get wood, to build wooden settlement buildings and whatnot. Same goes for metal, Oh, look, there's a rusted out car sitting there. Scrap it, and you suddenly have a bunch of steel. You have all that. Fallout 3 introduced... Well, it didn't introduce it. But it basically, it kind of gave you a little bit of the old school feeling of Fallout 1 and 2 of the turn-based combat. And it's called VATS. Vault-assisted... I don't remember. Sorry. I'll probably notate this here on the video. But VATS basically gives you kind of a turn-by-turn, and it can allow you to targeting. VATS targeting system. Vault-assisted targeting system. Okay. And it basically allows you to target individual portions of the body. You can target a hand. You can target, an arm. You can target legs to cripple somebody if they're really fast and you don't want them catching up to you. You can basically, target their leg and cripple it. And that'll keep them from being able to chase you as easily. They'll have to kind of hobble along. You can target their head and do a lot of damage potentially if they're vulnerable there. Certain critters like mirelurks, you have to shoot certain things in the head or certain things in like a different part of the body to do your best damage to them. Like red scorpions, giant scorpions. Shooting them in the head doesn't do a whole lot of damage. You have to kind of target other parts of the body. Where was I going with this? VATS. But it basically uses action points, and you only get so many at a time. And you basically go, hey, I want to shoot them in the head once, I want to shoot them in the torso once, and then shoot them in each leg once. And if you've got enough action points, depending on the weapon, because your weapon choice will factor in, you basically make those little selections. And in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, it actually paused combat. So basically you would be like, okay, bloop, activate VATS, your VATS screen comes up, you get your targets, and you can target multiple people if you've got enough action points. You'd be like, I want to shoot this guy in the head, shoot this guy in the leg, and shoot the weapon, yes, you can shoot a weapon, off of the hand out of this guy, because that guy's got a grenade, and if I shoot that grenade and hit it, boom. That guy's going to take damage from his own grenade because it's going to blow up in his hand. In Fallout 4, VATS no longer pauses combat, but it does slow it down a great deal. It doesn't give you the bonus of, hey, combat suddenly stopped. This actually forces you to really think about your combat style and what you're fighting. Because, sure, you hit VATS, and now suddenly they're like, and they may be coming in with like a tire iron, or pull cue, or whatnot, and they will hit you if you delay. Like, you can sit in VATS mode, but you'll sit there and take damage if they connect with you. They're still pulling the trigger. They're still going to shoot you. It's just going to be slower. So there's a lot of variety as far as the combat is concerned. And you can do combat, like I said, you can do it real time without VATS. And you can do that in first person mode. Or you can do it in third person mode if that's your jam. Cool. Or you can use VATS. And damage factors actually are slightly different. I think the damage in VATS is a little less because you're using, you're getting help basically to attack. Whereas if you just basically run and gun it in first person or third person mode, you get the damage, but you don't necessarily get as much accuracy, I think. And your accuracy in VATS is also affected by your stats. And just like a role-playing game, Fallout, because it has roots in, I think it was GURPS originally. I think they were originally going to use that, but I think there was a licensing issue, and they ended up coming up with their own, and they call it the special system. And it's strength, perception, endurance, so on and so forth. So the game itself does have its role-playing basis. And you do level up, just like you do with a role-playing character. I think in Fallout 4 they actually removed a hard cap. I think Fallout 3, I want to say the cap might have been like 70 or something like that. Something to that degree. At any rate, so you level up. You can change your stats or add to your stats as you level up. You can also get what they call perks. And these are basically like, kind of like, if you're familiar with D&D, they're kind of like feats. This perk might make you more resistant to radiation. this perk might make you tougher. Another perk might give you the ability to find more money, which in this game takes the form of old bottle caps from Nuka-Cola. There's so much interesting stuff in the game. It really is. I'm really rambling today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not focused. I kind of woke up a little earlier, strayed from my morning routine, drinking caffeine to try and compensate. Hey, if Mountain Dew Kickstart wants to sponsor me, that'd be great. But I kind of doubt that. When was the last time you saw a sponsored vlog? Anyway, so I highly recommend the Fallout series if you have any interest in it. I will also toss a link out to Bethesda's website. You can also get Fallout, most of the Fallout games, I believe, on Steam. I'll put a link there. And if by any certain chance anybody out there wants to play Fallout 76 when it comes out, I highly recommend it, and I will certainly, once that does come out, once I've had a chance to play it, I'll be, talking about that, I'm sure, here in the vlog, and kind of go over things from there. So, that said, I'm getting close to work. I'm going to end it a little sooner today, not make it plus 30 minutes, and still not doing any editing. Again, I apologize for the shakiness of the camera for the time being, until I have some spare cash on hand. I'm going to just be doing this the quick and dirty way with, a cell phone stuck to the windshield, essentially. I'm using the earbud and the microphone, and in hopes that it'll help with the audio just a bit. We'll see how that goes. Like with any YouTube channel, if you like what you've listened to or watched, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to hit the notification button if you want to be notified every time we put a new video out. But hey, that's up to you. I'm not pushing anything. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm certainly not sponsored. Second vlog. I'm not a YouTube celebrity. Probably never will be. And hey, that's cool. I'm out here talking because I just want to give this a try. I want to give somebody something that they might want to be, interested in listening to. So, everyone, take care. Have a great day. And I will catch you on the next video.